today's interesting news on RGN. My name is George, and I will be updating you guys on some of the newest and most recent news in gaming. So basically, I want to start off with the first article on Sony and how they are having a new console in the works, and AMD is building the graphics for it apparently, according to a person who was formerly an AMD employee. So basically, Sony is working on a new console, and this was announced by a former AMD employee, and it says that the processor designer may be playing a key role in this new product, so that means AMD will most likely be supplying the graphics. Now, the Microsoft Xbox 360 console is also using AMD's graphics. However, Sony introduced the PS3 back in 2006, relied on NVIDIA. Now, this is obviously something new that the graphics company are changing, so we might see a little shift to the better, or maybe for the worse, towards the graphics in the system. But hopefully this is actually true, because this is really interesting news, considering that everyone's kind of been a little bit hyped up about are the gaming companies going to be starting off with new systems, because it has actually been quite a while since they've actually launched a new system. So this is actually quite an interesting news. Obviously, Sony Chief Transformation Officer George Bailey declined this, and AMD has also declined on this project that they possibly would be working on. So on to the next news story. And for the next article we're going to be talking about is, as many people have been wondering, does video games cause depression amongst teenagers? Now, this is oftenly talked about, and oftenly talked about actually, and basically a lot of professionals, psychologists, and also scientists have posed the question whether gaming has actually affected the youth and the teenagers of our society, and will it cause any psychological problems in their lives. And now basically there has been numerous researches of gamers amongst some of the largest group of teenagers, and they've been assessing their mental health and how much time they spend playing video games. Now, gaming habits often interact with study time and also social interaction. So here are some actual findings that they've actually kind of found through the research that they've done. Now, one of the latest results, which is actually pretty discouraging, it's by a latest study which was published Monday in the journal Pediatrics. It follows 3,000 students in 3rd, 4th, and 7th and 8th grade in Singapore. Now, these children were impulsive, less comfortable with other children as they progress in the time that they spend playing video games. Now, this obviously shows that these are due to heavy gamers who play on average 31 hours a week. Now, that's actually a lot of time now that I look at it, but compared to most likely 19 hours weeks for other students who are most likely to suffer from depression, anxiety, and also social phobias. Now, these often look at the worst side effects of gaming. There are obviously gaming related benefits, I guess you could say. I think I covered an article about it actually helps you with surgery because of your accuracy. Don't know how much reliability that gets. I wouldn't put a child who's a Call of Duty nerd into the surgery room with no experience, but that kind of opens insight on basically what some professionals have to say based on what they found through their research. Now, obviously, the professionals are going to be saying some of the worst stuff about gaming, and through the research, I was wondering if you guys would agree with this research, or do you think that they're absolutely bullcrapping? Now, leave your feedback in the comment section below, and tell us what you think about whether gaming does cause you depression personally, or if you know anyone else who's maybe kind of gamed a little too far, if that's possible. For all you Dead Space 3 fans out there, and also the people who really enjoy the Battlefield 3 graphics, which I would think would be everyone, Dead Space 3 is now rumored to be going to be powered by Frostbite 2.0. Now, obviously, this hasn't actually been officially announced, but there are some rumors going around that this possibly could be happening, considering that Dead Space is most likely actually going to be using the Frostbite 2.0 engine, which is DICE's stunning Battlefield 3 engine. Now this is really interesting because this was actually found out through a series of hints, such that EA Montreal, which was actually renamed Visceral Games Montreal as the Dead Space studio, and it is expanding basically beyond the EA's Redwood Shores HQ. Now, Dead Space franchise is currently seeking a senior environment artist opportunity in our Montreal studio, which was a recent job listing that was shown on the EA website, meaning that most likely Dead Space 2 would most likely have a sequel. Now, this is really neat because a DICE rendering architect, John Anderson, has actually tweeted earlier today that the flying off to Canada in the US to visit a whole bunch of Frostbite powered EA studios before the GDC. First off, Montreal. Now, Montreal, if you link everything together, Montreal is home to EA Visceral Games. Now, that is being one of the developers of Dead Space 2, most likely will be developing Dead Space 3 and using the Frostbite 2.0 engine, putting it all together. Now, there was a few quick news and for your today's entertainment, and I guess that's all about it for today. So basically, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hopefully we're going to be coming out with another RGN episode next week, so stay tuned for that and check out our channel for some new series that we're having up. See you guys.